Welcome to the Nameless.
My phone answered the question before I even typed it. I was lying on my bed, staring at the ceiling fan as it clicked unevenly, when my screen lit up beside me. A text bubble appeared in the empty draft window, gray and polite, like it had always been there. It said, "You don't need to ask that." I hadn't touched the phone. I hadn't even unlocked it yet. For a second, I thought it was some delayed message loading or muscle memory making me imagine things. Then the cursor blinked at the end of the sentence, waiting. I remember the quiet most of all. No vibration, no notification sound. Just the fan clicking and the faint hum of traffic outside, like the world hadn't noticed something had gone wrong. Before that night, my life was painfully normal. I worked IT support for a mid-sized logistics company, the kind of job where nothing dramatic ever happened, and that was the point. I spent my days resetting passwords, explaining printers, and telling people to turn things off and on again. When I got home, I microwaved something bland, scrolled through my phone, and went to sleep with the TV on low. The phone was old but reliable. I'd had it for years, carried it through 2 apartments and 1 bad breakup. I didn't customize it much. Same wallpaper since college, same few apps I actually used. I was careful about permissions, updates, all that. Occupational paranoia, I guess. That night, I was texting my sister. She lived a few states away and had a habit of worrying if I didn't respond fast enough. She'd asked earlier if I was still thinking about moving closer to home. I was, but I hadn't said anything yet. I kept opening the message thread, typing a few words, deleting them, then locking the phone again. That was the question I hadn't typed yet. Should I come back? When I picked the phone up after seeing that message, my thumb hovered over the screen. The text bubble faded like it had timed out, leaving the draft box empty again. No sent message, no record, just the blinking cursor. I told myself it was a glitch, some predictive text bug, some cached phrase from another app. Phones did weird things sometimes. I unlocked and locked the screen a few times, opened a different app, came back. Nothing. Still, I didn't type the question after that. I just replied to my sister with something safe and vague and put the phone face down on the nightstand. I slept badly. Every time I drifted off, I dreamed my phone was buzzing, but when I woke up, it was silent. Over the next few days, little things started happening. Nothing dramatic, just moments that made me pause longer than I should have. I'd open my phone to search for something, and the result would already be there, highlighted, like I just tapped it. Once, I was thinking about ordering food, and a delivery app notification popped up with my usual order, asking if I wanted to repeat it. That wasn't that strange, but the timing felt off, like it had been waiting for the thought. The worst part was how easy it was to ignore. I worked in tech. I knew how many systems were talking to each other behind the scenes, guessing, predicting, optimizing. The internet was basically one big assumption engine. It felt reasonable that sometimes it guessed too well. Then it happened again. I was at work, alone in the server room, the air cold and dry. I'd been assigned to inventory some old equipment. My phone was in my pocket. I wasn't using it. I wasn't even thinking about it. I felt the vibration and pulled it out, expecting a call. Instead, there was a new text draft open. No contact selected, just a message, half typed. Don't check the 3rd rack. My stomach tightened. The 3rd rack was right in front of me.
I hadn't planned to open it yet, but it was next on the list. I stood there longer than I should have, listening to the fans and the faint electrical whine. I laughed, once, quietly. I told myself it was a prank. Maybe I'd pocket-dialed something. Some app had glitched into a draft. Maybe stress was getting to me. I checked the 3rd rack anyway. Nothing unusual. Old hardware, dust, labels fading. I finished the inventory and went home feeling embarrassed for being shaken. That night, I went through my phone settings carefully. App permissions, background activity, accessibility access, everything looked normal. No unknown apps, no weird profiles. I even ran a malware scan, knowing how pointless that usually was. I thought about resetting the phone entirely, starting fresh. But there was something about that felt wrong, like leaving a conversation unfinished. The messages didn't come every day.
Sometimes a week would pass with nothing strange at all, and I'd almost convince myself it was over. Then something small would slip through. I'd open a notes app and find a single line I didn't remember writing. Not that one. Or my alarm would be set 5 minutes earlier than usual, just enough to wake me from a dream I couldn't remember. Once, I typed a message to a coworker complaining about a meeting, and before I sent it, the text changed. One word replaced itself. Careful. I stared at that word for a long time. Then I deleted the entire message and put the phone down. I started leaving it in another room when I slept, face down, powered off. It didn't help. I'd wake up with the phone back on, battery a few percent lower than it should have been. I couldn't prove I hadn't turned it on myself, half asleep, but the idea made my skin crawl. I stopped telling myself it was predictive. Predictive text didn't do this. It didn't feel like guessing. It felt like interrupting. The turning point came the night I finally tried to test it. I sat at my kitchen table with the lights off, the city glow leaking in through the blinds. I opened a new message draft and rested my hands flat on the table, nowhere near the screen. I focused on a simple question, something neutral. What do you want? The words appeared slowly, one at a time, as if someone else was typing them. Not instantly, deliberately. You already know. My throat went dry. I hadn't realized how badly I wanted it to say anything else. I waited, heart beating hard enough to feel in my ears. I typed back, hands shaking now. Then say it. There was a pause, long enough that I wondered if I'd imagined it all again. Then the reply came. To finish. I asked what that meant. I asked how. I asked who I was talking to. Each question appeared on the screen just after I thought it, even when I didn't touch the keyboard. The replies came slower now, like whatever it was needed time. You started it. You let me answer. You kept reading. I thought about all the permissions I'd ever accepted without reading, all the terms and conditions. The thought felt shallow, even as I had it. This wasn't a company or a program. It didn't talk like one. What happens if I don't? I typed. The reply came immediately. You will anyway. That was when I noticed something else. The timestamps on the messages were wrong. They weren't just a few minutes off. They were dated days ahead, some of them weeks. Messages I hadn't seen yet, already sitting there, waiting. I scrolled. My stomach dropped. There were entire conversations I didn't remember having, arguments, confessions, apologies, messages sent to people I hadn't talked to in years. Some were marked as read, some weren't. A few had replies I recognized, in voices I knew, reacting to things I didn't remember saying.
One thread was with my sister. The last message, dated a month from then, read, I wish you'd told me sooner. I felt a cold, detached calm settle over me, the kind that comes when your mind decides panic won't help. I asked one last question. Is this me? The typing indicator appeared, up on its own. Around dawn, I wrapped it in a towel, put it in a drawer, and left for work early. I bought a new phone that weekend, New number, new account. I told myself that was enough. I didn't transfer anything over. For a while, it seemed like it was. Life smoothed out again. The background anxiety faded. I stopped thinking about the messages dated in the future. I stopped checking my new phone for things that weren't there. Then, one afternoon, my sister called. She sounded tired. She asked if I was okay.
She said I'd sent her a long message the night before, apologizing for things she didn't understand. She asked what I meant by running out of time. I told her she must be mistaken. I told her I hadn't texted her in weeks. There was a pause on the line. Then she said, quietly, "It came from your old number. I'm still here. I still go to work. I still sleep most nights. I don't have the old phone anymore. I threw it away in a public trash can miles from my apartment. Sometimes, though, my new phone lights up, and for just a second before the screen wakes, I swear I can see a message already waiting. It always disappears before I can read it."